Hey y'all, my name is Travis Lee, and today I have the pleasure of walking through how to use JobTread as a remodeling business. Fortunately, this is my background. I was a remodeler prior to working here at JobTread. Eric then approached me to come, teach people JobTread and kind of run this side of the business. So it's something I miss. It's something I really enjoyed. I loved taking a dilapidated space and making it something that people are excited about. So fortunately, still get to kind of live vicariously through our customers, but it's a really, really fun place to be. So really appreciate what you guys do. So I really just want to focus on the basics here. How would a remodeling company just getting into JobTread just get started? There's a lot of tools that we offer. On-screen takeoff, formulas and parameters, things like that. Not focusing on that today. I'm really just focusing on the basics, kind of the core of JobTread, which in my mind is tracking your leads, building estimates, and sending quotes. I'll allude to some of the other tools, but I just want to focus on that for this video. To start, just want to mention that on your home dashboard here, you have a lot of action items, active jobs, things that will only become relevant when you actually start using the system. Just want to make a note that this is totally customizable. Now you have the ability to insert custom dashboards, track sales KPIs, track revenue over time. All of this can be customized in time. Under your main settings, I want to mention the fact that you can set up web forms on your website. So this will automatically create customers or vendors for you in the system, just eliminating some of that double entry that might exist today. But your customer and vendor list here, or think of them as like your contacts on your phone. Every customer you work with, every vendor you work with, you'll have a dedicated page for them where you can leave comments, you can upload files. But for the sake of this video, we're going to focus on jobs. JobTread, obviously jobs are very important. This is really the core of our system. Every new opportunity that comes across your desk, I recommend creating a job for that. Doesn't mean you've won the job, doesn't mean you've lost the job. It's just an opportunity, and we're going to figure out later on if we're actually going to get it. You start by adding an account name. Let's say I am your customer here, but I'm going to go by Ricky. So I'm going to call it the Ricky household as the account name. Location, just start typing. That will search Google. Click on it when you find a match. And the primary contact is going to be the main person that you're working with. So Ricky Williams, I'm a Longhorn, by the way, so that makes sense. Email address, that's going to be their account, and then phone number. And think of this as contacts with the individual people that you're working with. So the account is the overall account. If this happened to be a commercial project, that would be the name of the company. Primary contact is the main person you're working with, but later on you can add multiple contacts for this job. Down below, we have the job details. You can choose if this is a fixed price, cost plus, or no customer job, which is just for like a spec job or maybe a flip of some kind. The status is actually a custom field. This is one that we insert by default, but you can add additional custom fields if you want to track, let's say, the customer lead source. Maybe you want to track the project type. Anything you want to track about these jobs, these customers, just know you have that option. Here at the bottom too, you can upload a cover photo. I'm going to choose a past project I've worked on, create the job. This could be the job renderings, really anything to help kind of sell the project to the customer. But here in the job dashboard, we have a little bit of information I'm going to highlight in just a moment. But before we actually do, I'm going to skip back for a second. And I really wanted to highlight the fact that the job list, the customers, the vendors, they all look like spreadsheets, right? The reason why is you can click view settings here in the top left, and you can customize exactly what you see. So there's all this information about these jobs, from financial information, from schedule information, to the custom fields that you create, to the customer's information. You can insert whatever you want into the table. You can reorder it, and then you can apply filters too. So if you want to say, hey, only show me the jobs that Bob is the project manager for, just know you have that option. So really cool, but even cooler in my mind is the ability to set up Kanban views. So if you haven't heard of a Kanban, you've probably seen it. It's this column-based view. It's a Japanese word. It represents card-based organization, but effectively I'm seeing all my jobs. I'm just organizing them now by the status. And these columns we see are actually just the answer choices to the question. So it's totally customizable and you can make it fit your business. But the best part about it is that it's all click and drag. So I can go in here, drag things across, and just move the job through the sales pipeline. Obviously, we see a lot of these columns are currently collapsed, but when you have many jobs within the pipeline, it's just going to help you visually understand where all the projects are at. So to customize these statuses, I want to show you that real quick. So under settings and custom fields, You can see here, this is where we can create all of our custom fields. So for your customers, again, if you want to start tracking the lead source, that's a suggestion that we have. So you can just pop it in real quick, then you can edit it. And then if I scroll down below, I'm going to see my list of my job custom fields. And here, I can effectively just edit that status field. This is where I can go modify the answer choices. So that will actually set up those separate columns back in the Kanban view. So you can remove ones, you can add new ones, you can modify the names of existing ones. Totally custom, totally up to you. We just start you off with the default. So back in the job list, I'll mention too, if you really prefer the Kanban view, just know you can move it here to the top. Now it's going to be your default moving forward. All right, so let's say we're ready to go into this job. This is the job dashboard. We have the financial summary on the left-hand side, some custom fields, who's a part of the project in the bottom left. Middle of the page, we have a messaging tool. You can just leave, internal notes here if you want, or you can communicate directly with your customers and vendors through this as well. Right below that, we have a feed. This is similar to what you're used to with Facebook and other social media platforms. As things happen in the system, it's going to record it. So it's effectively creating a history over time. Cover photo on the right-hand side, a quick access to the map to get directions to the job site, and then we have weather at the job site as well. The core of our system, though, the reason people buy JobTread is the budget tab right here. All we care about off the bat is this blue estimating section, and then the rest of it off to the right we'll talk about in just a moment. But we build this by adding individual items or groups. This is where we're building our estimate. Individual items are going to be all of your costs, right? Electrical, plumbing, HVAC, things like that. Anything you're spending money on is going to be an item. You can get very top level with this. I'm going to build your home for $500,000, or you can get very, very granular down to a box of screws. Obviously, there's a middle ground there. You just have to kind of find your happy place here. If you're subbing out work, oftentimes electrical, plumbing, HVAC are going to be single line items. But if you're doing more of your material takeoff, if you're purchasing that material, then you might get a little bit more granular. But you can start just by adding items on the fly. When you click this button, it's going to be pulling from your catalog any pre-saved items that you have, but you can also type in new things. So let's call it, Hardy backer board. And notice when I do this, it's giving me the option to create a new item on the fly. So you can add a new item, plug in the details, and eventually save this to the catalog. But I always recommend, let's start with a template first, just so we're not having to reinvent the wheel. If you have an existing spreadsheet, if you're moving from another system that has a template, we can import that for you, but we also have a global catalog. So if you click that little globe icon, you can pull from Home Depot, you can pull from our templates. I'm going to focus on those templates for now, specifically in remodeling. And you can see the different templates that we provide. We have a couple bathroom options, foundation repair, garage, kitchens, and then just a full remodel. That's the one I'm going to focus on right now. So click to load it, then you can click to include it all within this job. So I have 4 main cost groups within this template, under which we have a series of items. If you're happy with this, you think it looks pretty good, then you can save here in the top right. But obviously, you're going to want to modify this a bit for your business. So certain things that maybe don't apply to you, you can just remove them. You can insert new things if you want, just by clicking on those 3 dots. And then, of course, we're going to want to write out our descriptions, put in our costs, and so on. And that's what we're going to talk about now. So think of this description field here as the scope of work for the job. As you're plugging in your costs, you can actually type out what you're doing for the customer, and that will transfer to the proposal that you're creating. So this is really meant to be a one-stop shop, a single point of entry. So everything kind of exists here within the spreadsheet, but we're going to bring that onto the pretty proposal that we create for the client. So I'm going to add just one description here as a proof of concept. So under this description field in the group, I'm going to paste a big block of text just to show you that you can really write an essay on here if you wanted to. Not that you have to, but it just kind of expands that small text box into a bigger one. Obviously, this can make it a little bit difficult to then focus on your numbers. That's why we have this expand and collapse option here. And also, you can increase the width of that column if you're planning on running a lot of content. I'm going to skip over the descriptions for now, though. I wanted to focus for a moment on the quantities and units. These are not required. If you just want to go plug in your cost, you can. Notice as soon as you plug in your cost, we're going to spit out the price to the customer. We're doing that based off the goal profit margin you're trying to hit. So JobTread is very much a cost-focused system, meaning anytime you update your costs, it's going to update the price of the customer because we're still assuming that you're trying to hit that goal profit margin. But at the end of the day, if you wanted to override that and say, nope, we actually want to charge $1,000 for this specific item, you absolutely have that opportunity. It's really just giving you a starting point of what you need to charge if you're trying to hit, in this case, a 30% profit. So moving on from here, you would obviously go line by line and plug in your costs. When you get done with this process, if you're happy with this template, if you want to save this for future projects, then you can just export this to the catalog and you have just saved your first template. You have just set it up yourself for success on all future jobs because you're going to be able to pull in this template that you've customized and reuse some of the details. And then of course you could modify it for that new project that you're working on. So I'm going to go in here real quick, just for the sake of the example. I'm going to give everything a cost. I'm going to select up top all of the items, and then we have all of these mass actions that you can apply. In my example here, I'm just going to set everything to $500 just to give us some numbers to work with here. Notice how this brings me to a total of $37,857. Maybe you don't like that weird, 37-cent number that we see. Maybe we want to round that up to 39, still under 40, but it's a nice flat number. This is another really common mass action that we see. Selecting everything and setting the total price of the job to, let's just do 39 flat. This will proportionally distribute the profit across all the items to get you to 39,000 flat. One more thing I want to do before we actually take this into a proposal for the client is present options to the customer. So a really cool feature within JobTread is the ability to have selections where the customer can kind of pick and choose what they want. So we don't have this baked into our template. So I'm going to add a new group here. I'm going to call it just countertop selections. And we're just going to kind of create this on the fly together. So I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to add in quartz. I'm going to add in, quartzite and maybe like a marble option as well. This is where, quantities and units can become helpful because you can say, these are 150 square foot of countertops, and maybe you have a price per square foot. So I'll do 40, 60, and 70. Just good, better, best sort of situation. The cost to me, of course, changes depending on their choice, and the price that they will pay for that is going to change as well. So to set this up as a selection to the customer, it's going to be by going to the group, click show details, and you're going to allow selections. There's two routes you can go with this. One is for upgrades, where if you say 0 selections are required, they don't have to pick any, but they can choose to opt into certain things and they can drive up the price of the job. The alternative option here is to just say they have to pick one. So if you set a min and max of 1, this is going to provide a price range to the customer, and then they're going to be asked to choose which one that they want. One more thing before I move forward, I probably want to show the customer what they're purchasing. So I just want to highlight the fact that on each of these selections, you can actually upload files. So I'm going to choose 3 just random pictures from my computer. These are not actually pictures of quartz. So maybe there is, and some of them actually I got lucky. But you're showing them what they're purchasing, right? I think this is important to help sell the job. So let's say we're happy with our numbers. We're looking at a tune of 47 to 54K based off what they choose. When I'm happy with that, I'll click plus document. And this is where you can send these numbers we posted in our budget over to the customer for approval. Before I do that though, I want to talk about these different document types. We have 5 document types, the first of which is bid request, so sending this off to subs and actually asking them to provide a price. Customer orders are anytime you're getting a signature from the customer, it's going to be under this category. Invoices are pretty straightforward, asking the customer to pay for the job. Vendor orders are going to be your purchase orders, work orders, things like that, essentially contracts with subs. And then vendor bills are going to be your actual costs, your receipts, things like that. I'm going to focus on the proposal, but before I do, I think it's very important to show you that you can go into your main settings under document templates, and this is where I see that exact same list, but this is where I can go create more templates and modify existing ones. You might be asking yourself, why would I need to do that? Maybe you have a cost plus contract versus a fixed price contract. Maybe you do some residential work and maybe a little bit of commercial work. You might have different contracts for those different situations. In either case though, I'm going to click into the proposal, and it looks nice. On the right hand side I can see the preview, but obviously there's 2 major things you might want to do. One is add your contract, right? So just paste that here into this footer. And the nice thing is you can actually see it on the right-hand side of the page as you type. I'm going to put in some filler text here just to kind of show you what this will look like as you build it out. And I'm going to do one more paragraph so you can kind of see it on the right-hand side. Pretty bland right now, so I definitely recommend going in there and putting some headers just to give it some visual separation for the customer. All right, so I'm going to skip up to the design tab, and then this is where we can actually upload a cover photo. So we're really going to spice up the proposal, make it prettier, more modern. I highly recommend this. So we have 4 different templates to choose from. I lean towards the modern one, but you can play with it based off the image that you're uploading. You really do need to upload an image with this though for this to look good. So if I click upload, choose my photo, the nice thing is that this can be a stock image you use for every proposal, or you can override it on every job. In my example I've already created, I did upload a cover photo to that job. So just know you could leave this blank, and then that can insert that cover photo automatically for you as well. Another really cool thing is that you can create different proposal templates, right? If you do multiple types of projects, kitchens, baths, decks, fences, you can have a proposal for each, and then the cover photo could highlight that different work that you do and effectively what you're selling to the customer. So one additional thing here is the header and footer PDFs. If you have any custom PDFs that maybe talk about your company or talk about the build process, you can upload those here, and that would be inserted here below the cover page before the contract. That's your header. And then you can do some footer PDFs, which would appear after the contract as well. Let's say we're pretty happy with that. Last thing I'll mention is the ability here to modify the item amounts. Are we showing line item pricing? Are we showing quantities in units? You can default those here as well. Let's say we're happy with that though. Looks pretty good. Go back to the job, go into the job, and now I can go and I can create my proposal. So when you click this, it's going to ask you what you will want to include from the budget on the proposal. Typically, it's going to be everything. So we'll click create. And then this is where we can see our proposal and preview it before we actually send it along to the customer. So we'll scroll through. Again, if we had descriptions, these would be posted here. We can choose to show quantities and units if we want. I want to highlight real quick the ability on every group to hide the items that are under it, or just hide the line item pricing. We also have the ability at the top to modify if you're showing any line item pricing at all. So just know it can be completely customized proposal over proposal. But here at the bottom, we are presenting options to the customer. This is why we see a price range. So they can choose between quartz, quartzite, and marble. If you're doing this again, I'd recommend pictures and all the different choices. Down below, we have our contract. You, of course, can click in here. You can modify it before you send it off to the customer. In my example, I am not actually needing to charge the customer sales tax, so I'll turn that off. Let's say it looks good. I'll click send. I can type in a custom message if I want. I can also have a boilerplate message posted here automatically, but I'll send it, and then now it's going to go off to the customer through email, and I'll be able to verify right here if they actually received it or not. Okay, so this is what the customer is going to receive. Obviously, this would be your logo, your colors, your custom message. All the customer has to do is click on that link in the email, and they're logged into the portal. Eventually, this is where they'll receive other things, right? Messages from you if they want to share files, see daily logs, see the schedule. All of that can be a part of the portal system as well. But right now, we're focusing just on that initial proposal because, of course, we got to get the job first. So they can see any files you've uploaded. You can also have them upload files back to you. They can send messages. And if you scroll through it, this is how the customer is going to see it at the bottom. Again, this one has selections built in, so the customer can actually see what they're purchasing. Let's go with the most expensive option here. The beautiful thing about this in my mind is that they can drive up the price of the job, right? You're offering a lower sales price to the customer if they want, but they're the bougie ones. They're the ones that want the thing that's more expensive. So they're the bad guy in this case, not you. Down below, we have our built-in financing, terms and conditions, and then all they do is sign away. If you have a husband and wife situation, they both need to sign, just know that's an option as well. But now back in your side of things, you can see this has been approved. Scroll down to the bottom, we have a signature and a timestamp as well, and effectively, you got the job. Back on the dashboard, you can see this was approved at $54,000. You have won this job. Also in the budget, you can see I now have a budgeted cost set. So this is expanding beyond the estimate, right? This is when your proposal is locked in, you now have a budget for the job, and now you can track your cost against that budget. You also have your price, and you also have your profit projections too. So the beautiful thing about this being beyond the estimate, all of these numbers right here, if you ever need to understand how we got there, just click on it and it will show you the paper trail. So if we have our initial proposal, if we have change orders that are modifying our budget, the paper trail will always be here in the budget. So the obvious next step for a lot of contractors here is going to be going to send an invoice, right? We want to collect some money to kind of start the process. So whether you choose deposit or invoice, effectively they work the same. But when you create this, it will always default to the remaining balance. If you want to take certain percentages from different line items, you can, or you can choose to say, 25% for the whole job and create that 25% deposit, send it off to the customer and get paid. Invoices are obviously very simple, but it will always default to the remaining balance based off that approved price. All right, there's a lot more I could be talking about here. I could be talking about the ability to add custom columns in the budget. Could be talking about formulas and parameters or on-screen takeoff. But I want to skip to the project management side of things and focus on two tools specifically, the schedule and then daily logs. I think these are very easy to adopt, and I wanted to introduce how they work. So we'll start with the schedule. Let's go over there. And here we can see this defaults to a Gantt view, which is, in my opinion, the fastest and easiest way to build out a schedule. Obviously, you could start by adding individual tasks and kind of build this out organically. Much like the budget, though, we'd recommend starting with a template. You can click right here where it says import from a template. This is going to pull from your catalog. If you need any schedule templates, we can provide them. And then we can go over here and go to the residential remodel. In this case, we're going to start in a couple weeks. Click import. And then this will build out my Gantt chart for me. Of course, for every job, you can modify the details, change it. Maybe certain things are going to take more or less time. But as the schedule changes, as you click and drag, notice how everything moves behind it. That's the beauty of the Gantt chart. Just making it very easy to build out the schedule. And when something takes longer than expected, obviously we're not having to update every single task behind it as well. We also have a month view. We also have a list view, so you can display this to the customer really in any format that you want. But generally speaking, we do recommend building this with the Gantt chart. Each individual task can be assigned to a person, whether it's an internal employee, the customer, or one of your vendors. Just know you can shell these out to people, and you can also see a company-wide calendar and then the calendar for each individual person as well. Moving on from the schedule, we do have daily logs. If you're not familiar with the term, it's just a daily record of what's happening every day. You go to the job site, you pull out your phone, you pull up the JobTread app, you just take notes and pictures. It can be as simple as that. But effectively what you're doing is you're creating a history of the job over time. You're creating something that the customer potentially could see if you wanted to share with them. And I highly would recommend doing that because oftentimes the homeowner doesn't see the progress, right? They might not understand the work you're doing behind the scenes to make the job happen. They may not understand why certain things are causing delays. The daily logs are a great place to record all of that. So even if they can't see it with their eyes that you're making progress, it's being documented. They know you're working on this behind the scenes. So how this works is you just click on the clipboard in the top right of the screen. We have it there in the top right just because when you're on your phone, we want to make it very easy, just like one click and you're good to go. But you can see the job, you can see the weather's pulled automatically, and then you see notes and then the ability to upload files. It can be as simple as that. But you can also insert questions here. If you wanted your employees to go to the job site and answer, what subcontractors showed up today? Do we need more material for tomorrow? Those can be additional questions that you ask, but it can be as simple as notes and pictures. So notes, maybe I say, plumber didn't show today, so I set the toilet myself. Whatever happened that day, you're going to record as notes. And I'm a huge fan of doing this from your phone. When you click into the notes field, it gives you the keyboard. You can just click on the microphone and you just do voice to text, right? So you can walk the job site, describe what happened that day, let it transpose those notes for you. Then from there, you're going to see a camera button on your phone. I don't see it because I'm not on the phone right now, but on your mobile device, it actually gives you the camera option to where you can just walk the job site, take pictures, potentially do a video, and include that as a part of the daily log. I'm on the computer here, so I'm just going to click the upload button and choose these 3 images. But effectively, this is the story, right? And this is what happened today. This is the evidence of that work that was performed. So when I click save, this is going to create that record under the job that potentially could be shared with the customer as well. So it's a very easy tool to use, and I highly recommend using it and having your employees leave those daily logs at the end of each day as well. Really nice thing too is as you upload those files, they automatically upload into the file section of the project. So if you want to go back and just see the progress photos over time, you'll have that option as well. So those are the kind of the main project management tools I wanted to highlight. There's more here. There's messaging, there's time tracking of your employees. But I think in this kind of first video, I just wanted to highlight what's possible with those basic tools. There is much more here, and we have trainings for all the different aspects of JobTread. But for most remodeling contractors getting started on JobTread, I say let's focus on tracking leads. Let's focus on building estimates. Let's focus on sending proposals and getting paid. In addition to that, when the project starts, let's track the schedule, let's create those daily logs, and then let's adopt everything else JobTread can do in time. In addition to everything we've discussed today, we have a team of people here at JobTread dedicated to your success, and you can find all their information under the help desk. First off, we have our trainings. Every day, we do live trainings of which you can register for here, all free of charge. Everything is also recorded as well. So if you can't make the live trainings, we have the recorded version. Top right of the screen, you have your dedicated success manager. This is someone that comes from construction. They absolutely have your back. They are your main point of contact here at JobTread. And then we have our in-house support team, which is a fantastic group of individuals ready to help and answer any quick questions that might come up. So after this video, if you have any lingering questions, feel free to give us a ring or email us, support@jobtread.com. Thank you again for watching. If you have any questions, reach out. Thanks so much.